So, MSR, listen, thanks for coming here and joining us. Thanks for reaching out to us. This is really a great start, and I've had the benefit of speaking to you just recently and seeing some of your work. So I'm really excited for everyone here to be able to see what's coming up. So start off by just, I guess, introducing yourself to everyone and telling us who you are.
So my name is Mahfuza Shammy Rahman. I go by MSR. That's my artist name. I grew up in Brooklyn from like 9 months to 11 years old. When I was 11, my family moved to Woodhaven, and I've been there for so many years after that. Like maybe like 15 years after that.
Mhm.
I lost count. Too many years.
Mhm.
And my studio now is there. I started painting about a year and a half ago, and I didn't stop. I think the pandemic also helped me because I had a lot of time to paint, which
Mhm.
was really nice. So, and like I had a lot of time to paint, there was also a lot to process, I think, for
Sure.
everyone. And for me, like painting was a way for me to process that.
Mhm. So
So yeah,
now take us back to when you were really young. Um, as a child, what was your artistic inspiration there? Were you interested in art?
yeah, I was always artistic. I
Uh-huh.
think like when I was in kindergarten, I used to draw like little children's books and like write little things.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a suitcase of like little children's books that I wrote when I was a child myself.
Uh-huh.
And then in middle school, I started being really into photography. I remember there was a school trip that I took in, I want to say the seventh grade, maybe the eighth
Hmm.
grade, where we went up to Storm King, which is in upstate. It's like an outdoor sculpture park, and I just took photographs of like everything, like the trees, the sculptures, the like anything that was there.
Hmm.
And I became really into photography for a really long time. And I did some professional photography where I would shoot events and engagement shoots and things like that. Um, So yeah, I've always been really into it. In middle school, I also took like an art class, but like
Uh-huh.
it was like some drawing, and we did like one big painting, but it
Hmm.
didn't really catch on. Like I was never a really good drawer.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then I don't know, in college I took a art 101 class, like a basic intro to art,
Hmm.
and I loved it. I loved it. And then after college, the real world happened, so I was like, oh, I need to go make money now. So,
Right.
I got like various jobs, forgot about art. And then all of a sudden it just came back into my life, and it's been wonderful. It's been so
Oh, that's
fulfilling for
great.
me.
That's great. Again, I'm excited for people to see your work, and we're gonna see it very shortly. But how would you, for someone who's sitting out there right now, is going to be looking at your work now? How would you describe yourself, your work as an artist?
So I would say that my work it's pretty surreal and fantastical.
Hmm.
I use a lot of really bright and bold colors, but the subject matter is quite dark.
Hmm.
Um, I like the juxtaposition of those two because it doesn't feel like when I look at a piece, for me, I don't get bogged down with it. I feel like there's
Hmm.
a lot of hope there.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I guess that's how I would describe it. I started working with oils, which is
Hmm.
unusual because that's the hardest.
Right.
And then I started doing a transition into watercolors, and now I'm doing a little bit of acrylics.
Hmm.
But I like that they're all such different mediums, and you can do so many different things with them.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
that was what I was struck by with your work, seeing some of your oils, and some of them are really, they're kind of heavy. You're really looking at them, and they're deep, and then you've got these beautiful watercolors that are just they're just so joyful, and it's really it's interesting to see both coming from you at the same time, the same period in your life. It's you hear about artists, they talk about the different periods of this, but you're doing this at the same time.
So with watercolors, they don't take as long to dry, so the process
Mm-hmm.
of painting is very short.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why a lot of my watercolors are more minimalistic and like just like fun and whimsical. And my oils, like the oils take months to do.
Yeah.
So those like, after like thinking a lot, they require so much thought. So
Mm-hmm.
they are really heavy in
Yeah.
material. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen. Let's take a look at your work. We're gonna I think we're gonna turn our cameras off, right? That's what we're gonna
Okay.
do. And
Yeah.
you're gonna share with them.
Okay. Okay, so let me share this tab. This one. Share. And then let me present. Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Okay, so that's just my name. Hello. This is a photograph taken in Woodhaven in our first house in Woodhaven, and it was my sister's birthday, and all of our neighbors came. It was like we had planned this party, I think, within like the day before we planned it, and everyone showed up. It was really nice. The woman who's wearing like the red sweater, she
Mm-hmm.
actually, like I lost my keys during a thunderstorm and I didn't have anywhere to go, and she took me in and she changed my socks and she gave me like hot chocolate, which is really
Mm-hmm.
nice. And her daughter is like right under. I used to babysit her when I was young and she was young. Now she's tall and beautiful and she's a very very nice young woman. But yeah, I love that about Woodhaven because like we had such friendly neighbors. That's my sister in the white with like the jean skirt, and my mom
Mm-hmm.
next to me, my dad right there. But yeah, that was like growing up in Woodhaven. This is like not a great picture of me and my sister, but yeah, like we would go out and like play in the snow and just it was really nice. Like I don't know, like in Brooklyn, I didn't have a really like a nice community feel, but
Mm-hmm.
in Woodhaven, it always felt safe. It felt safe to like, yeah, just go out and
Mm-hmm.
play in the snow and like other kids were there too, you know. Okay, so these are two pictures. This is my sister before a dance performance
Uh-huh.
that she gave. And honestly, I think it was one of the best days of my life, even though I wasn't performing.
Uh-huh.
But she performed in like the PS60 talent show.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So she did like a dance, and there were like two other girls on stage with her, and like I was there for the whole show, and people were clapping here and there, but then my sister went on, and people like shifted in their seats, like they sat up, they were watching, and
Wow.
there were people who stood up at the end, like clapping and like whistling, and I was like, yeah, that's my sister, and I felt so much pride.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so that's what happened. And the other photo is me and my mom were just on the train. That's some like 90s outfits right there. Okay, so this is my first painting ever that I did. There's a really cool story behind this. It's called Taurian Descent because it's a self-portrait. I'm a Taurus, and I was sitting at work one day, and I just had like this image that I wanted. That like I don't know, it had just been with me. So like I drew it on like a piece of paper, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I went home a couple of days later. There was like I saw this piece of wood at my house, and like you can see that the wood is curved. It was just like I don't know, like we have a house and we just have like construction stuff everywhere.
Uh-huh.
So it was just a piece of wood, and I had some paints. So I decided, well, this is a pretty picture. Let me paint the picture. And during the painting of it, like it did evolve a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
this painting really symbolizes a really dark time in my life where I was going through so much, and I remember I went on a trip to England,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, well, if I somehow perish in England, then no one will know.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true, but whatever, that's what I thought.
Uh-huh.
And I went on a trip to the White Cliffs of Dover, and I saw the most beautiful lighthouse in the English Channel, and it was maybe like 100 feet below where the cliffs were, and it looked so tiny. And it just gave me this sense of hope that I think that was the first time I felt that sense of hope. So I really wanted to draw on that lighthouse theme. The reason why the figure in the painting is looking away from the lighthouse is because when I painted this, I was also going through a rough time. And it was after that hope. And if you can see, like, the rainbow, it gets clearer when it's like towards the blue, and the blue symbolizes water. And on top you could see like the light from the sun reflecting on the water surface. So this is a person who's completely like grounded in nature, entrenched. She has seen the hope, and yet she's very clear about turning away from the hope. So that's what this painting is about. Once I painted this, all of those feelings that I had, they kind of like got released into the painting. And I was like, wow, this is really great. This is an awesome process, and why don't I keep going? Why not?
That's a great, it's great, very, very therapeutic, but I mean, in this case here, just beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you. Okay, so this is another piece I had. It's called Lime Rock Light. And this is based on a scene in a movie. The movie is Age of Innocence by Martin Scorsese. And in the scene, if you can see, like, there's a pier and there's a woman standing on the pier. So the woman and the man, they have like this love affair, but the man is married to another woman. And it takes place in New York. It's like the 20s in New York, and there's a very like strict society code where like if like you're not supposed to you're not supposed to cheat. You're supposed to be like one with your wife and stuff. So the character on the pier is played by Michelle Pfeiffer. So she goes down by the pier and she says, I'm not going to turn around because I know he's here visiting, and I'm not going to turn around. He married my cousin. And the other actor, Daniel Day-Lewis, he says, well, if the ship passes the Lime Rock Light, which is the lighthouse, and she doesn't turn around, then I'm just going to go back and pretend like I didn't see her. And what happens is the ship passes, and she doesn't turn around because she made a promise to herself that she wouldn't. And so he goes back, and they don't see each other until, actually, I don't think they see each other ever again. They like cross paths. Like they're in the same city, but they don't see each other ever again. And that's the last sighting. And I really love that scene. It really captures something beautiful for me. So I painted that. And then this one is called Weightless Buoyancy. This one, I don't know. This one, it feels so strange to say because I just took out a canvas and I started painting, and I finished it within maybe like 2 hours. But it's probably one of my favorite pieces because it just came out. Like there was no, like all the thinking was unconscious thinking. It just came out, and then it was there on the canvas, and I was like, wow, this is really powerful. And I felt like there was like a weightlessness to the figure. I really like silhouettes because they can be anybody. Maybe you can see yourself in that. I hope you can see yourself in that. So yeah, okay, that's another one. And then, okay. So this one's called Trojan Horse. This one is about an accident that I had. I was at Penn Station and I had a seizure. So I fell, I lost like 2 of my teeth. I was covered in blood. They took me to the emergency room. This was on Christmas Eve. They took me to the emergency room. I spent Christmas morning in the emergency room, and it was really hard. It was really hard to get over. But after I had discovered painting, this was a way for me to deal with the trauma of that accident. And I call it Trojan Horse because the seizure was literally my body attacking itself. And the flowers here are supposed to be like in memoriam to that self, to that past self who had experienced this trauma. Because painting it, it's like I let go of it. I'm also super connected to horses, so. I think because I was born in the year of the horse. I was born in 1990, and my Chinese zodiac sign is the year of the horse. This one was a dream that I had. See, it's so weird because all of my paintings, they're like really inspired by so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a dream that I had where I was on a rooftop and I was looking at myself falling, and the person who was falling was also me, but she was
Ooh.
happy. And it was so weird. It was like so surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, well, that's such a cool thing. So so I painted it as I do. This is the second part of the dream where she's falling. And as you can see, like they're wearing the same like outfit because it's the same person. And I tried
Okay.
to do like I tried to show motion in like through the brushstrokes of the piece. And the little cloud on the bottom is supposed to be like a pillow top, like like a pillow top mattress.
Right.
And there's bits of rose, of dried rose, that I put into the paint as like a when somebody dies, you put flowers on their grave. So it's like
Right.
flowers, but also blood on a pillow top kind of cloud. The things that happen in my mind, I don't know.
That's interesting. I haven't seen many two-part paintings. I like that. You've got
Yeah,
the part
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Can you go back to part one for a second? I want to see. Yeah.
So she's like very, I don't know, like stern kind of in the first one. And then in
Yeah.
the second one, she's just like, oh, okay, bye. Yeah. Okay, so this is one of my first abstract pieces that I did. And it's really difficult for me to explain like the process and the feelings behind an abstract
Mm-hmm.
because for me, one of the reasons why it is abstract is because I couldn't put it into words.
Okay.
Um, but I love like the colors, like these colors. Like I had set these colors aside for months before I painted this piece, and this piece also took me months. It's pretty big too, and I wanted there to be hope here. I wanted it to be confusion, but also hope,
Mm-hmm.
which hopefully I have. Well, hopefully we can see that. I don't know. I mean, painting is. I feel like art is in the eye of the beholder. So whatever someone sees. It was also like this was during pandemic, so there's a lot of chaos in the virus affecting a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people. So I try to incorporate all of those things in a really convoluted way, which even I don't understand.
Yeah, when I looked at this one, I tell you the thing I kept on when it was down at the bottom. This it almost looks like a cat's paw with like a whole bunch of claws coming out, but then all the like it looks like cracks in the red. I don't know what that is or not. To me, it looked like something was cracking and falling apart.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of like I would say confusion.
Yeah,
Um, so actually that those particular lines,
yeah. Uh-huh.
I when I was in college, I did a piece with those lines, and I was really, I really like that was my favorite part of the piece was just
Mm-hmm.
those lines. So I wanted to use those in here. But yeah, it kind of looks like almost like a maze to me,
Yeah.
because like my head is a maze. It's confusing. So this is also a two-part painting. So this one is called Scream, and it's inspired by a song by the honorary title
Mm-hmm.
called Scream and Light Up the Sky. And like the song is about like release.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I wanted this painting and the next painting to be like releasing, but like in space, like cosmic release. So
Mm-hmm.
this one is called Scream, and this is the male, and this is the female called Light Up the Sky. Completely just inspired by a song that I heard when I was younger.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, okay, so this one, okay, this is a little dark.
Okay.
Um, this is a juxtaposition between two different types of childhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the children at the border who are being held in cages without their parents really inspired this piece for me, because I felt really helpless. Like, what am I doing? I had such a great childhood. I had a nice bed. I had books to read. I had, like, I had clean clothes. I went to school. I had all of these things. And yet sometimes I wake up and I struggle with my existence because I'm so bogged down by by everyday problems that I have, that I'm sure everyone has. But then, I felt kind of selfish because, I'm not a child in a cage who was separated from my mom or my dad. And that's a reality. That's a reality that we all have to deal with. So I wanted to paint this piece as a kind of as a saying, like, us in the first world, like, we're more important than what's going on to people who are in need. And that's why the children in cages are on, like, they're like, it's flipped. And it's like, what I want is for the person who purchases this piece, for them to turn it around and be like, no, this is more important. We need to do something about the children. So yeah, I did that. This was my 4th piece that I ever did. And this is also, like, on wood with oils. Yeah, it took me a really long time to finish just because it was so heavy in my heart.
Sure.
To paint. This one is called Grief. There's a little, I don't know if you can see, there's a little person inside the head of the silhouette. And there's also a shadow encompassing the silhouette. So I painted this, but I didn't really know what it meant until a friend of mine, I think she's here, her name's Lourdes. She texted me like, this article about grief. And in the article, the author used the definition of grief to be all the love that you have but you cannot give. Like, there's no other, like, there's no avenue for you to give that love. And that's why it's called grief. So that's why the figure is, like, all fiery with passion. But it's called grief because there's nobody to give it to. It's actually very sad.
Yeah, it's very, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you when you see oil on wood and oil on canvas, do you have a preference?
With wood, it dries a little bit faster because I don't seal the wood, so it seeps into the wood, it soaks it in, and I can work much faster. With canvas, it takes much longer, and it's a little bit like the paint is a little glossier on canvas, which I like that effect too. I don't know if I have a preference. I think I just, like, use whatever I have. Well, it's like, I have this thing in my head, I want to put it down, and, like, if I have something, I'll put it down on whatever is there.
Now, on wood, do you still look for scraps to use, or do you actually go to, like, Home Depot or something?
Sometimes I go to Home Depot, but, like, my parents they own a house, so there's always, like, something
always wood around.
Yeah. I think I'm actually gonna start painting on, like, tiles because I did a project at their house. I renovated the basement there in Woodhaven, and I put new tiles on the ceilings, and there's a bunch of extra tiles.
Yeah.
And they're really nice and big, and, like, they won't get moldy, they won't get mildew. They're, like, the most expensive tiles I could have bought is the one that I bought in my parents' house. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna paint on the extra ones there. This is one that's on canvas. I don't know if you can see, but, like when I took the photo, there's, like, a little bit of glare, and that glare doesn't show up when I take pictures on wood because it is less glossy.
Sure, I see. Yeah,
but it's the same paint. It's just, like, how it sits on the surface. So yeah, this one's called Destroying Mars. I feel like as a society we have destroyed Earth already, so we're headed to that direction where we're gonna go to Mars and destroy it. I'm sorry to be so uplifting. This one took me a really long time to paint. These colors also were just like this color combination was in my head for so long. And I can't really explain or describe why that is for me, but like sometimes these like colors just go together in my mind.
Sure.
And then I have to do something with it. So when I painted this, I was thinking about colonialism and basically how all the land that we're on right now is, it was sacred to somebody. I recently went on a road trip with a friend of mine who's also here. His name's Sean. And we went to, I think, like 14 states. And some of the places that we visited, there was a feeling there where, like, I don't know, it felt like worldly, like out of this world. And we both felt it, and we couldn't describe it to each other. We were just like, you feel it, right? He was like, yeah, I feel it. You feel it, right? And I was like, yeah, I feel it. And it was because we were on a lot of like Native American land, which, I think I'm a very spiritual person, and I think there are like special properties and I don't know, just like leftover energy that is lingering. So with like thinking of all of that, I wanted to paint this in a kind of abstract way. But I also wanted to incorporate like a map sort of structure, maps and waves, because the world is land and water. So I wanted to incorporate that when I painted this. This was called Drops on Sacred Land.
Very nice.
I painted this one over the summer. There was a boy who made me feel really nice. And you could, like, this is one of my happiest paintings with all of these colors. And it was like it's kind of resembling like a summer romance.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one is abstract also. There's kind of like a sunset happening and just like little waves of like bursts of color and moments.
Now, when you painted this, you're saying this is one of your happiest paintings.
Yes.
Is it still happy when you look at it?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I've ever regretted any relationship that I've been in. I think every person that I've been with has enriched me to become the person that I am today. And I really like myself now, so.
Oh, that's good to hear. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like this one.
It wasn't always like that. So these are some of my watercolors, a little bit more whimsical. This one's called Gold Bouquet, and there's a little bit of acrylic paint on there, which is the gold, that's acrylic. And I wanted to use like largely geometric shapes. I use a lot of stamps, like Andy Warhol. And all of my watercolors, I have them like, they're quite small, and I have them framed. Both of these are like 5 by 7, I think. And I do these really fast. And yeah, I like them because they're a completely different side of me that I don't explore a lot. But this is the way happier side of me that I'm becoming more of her every day. Here's 2 more. This one's called June Bug and Plaid Cross Kitty. I love cats. You guys have already met my little darling baby. He's still sleeping. These are a couple more. The knot is kind of resemblance of a marriage. I don't know why it's dark. I have to ask myself why that's so dark, but yeah. When I think of knot, I think like, tying the knot.
Yeah.
My watercolors have a lot of like nature in them though. Well, this is just a whimsical one of snow. I did in the winter. This is Silver Sands. I also did in the winter because I was like, what is this winter? I want to be there.
Yeah.
There, please. This one's inspired by there's a phenomenon that happens in California called the Santa Ana winds, where they get such strong winds and it makes people crazy and do weird things. And I felt a little bit like that, and I was like, that's a good title. We're gonna go into a little bit of my acrylics now. This one's called Flutterbug. This is one of my most recent paintings, and it's like an abstract painting of a butterfly. And that's the eye in the dark green, and that's the wing in the orange right there.
Yeah, I like the effect you get here with the acrylic here. I've painted with acrylic. To me, I can't get it to look anything. It looks. Do you mix a lot of water with the acrylic?
Sometimes
I don't know
no.
how, I don't know how you
Um,
get that like that green up there on the right. I mean, I just love the way that looks. It's just like different textures of the green and then the orange. I don't know. I've never been able to get that with the acrylic. It's beautiful.
I think with acrylic, I like acrylic paint dries much faster, so I paint much
Yeah.
faster. Um, and I like being really messy with acrylic. Whereas oil paints, I'm very like I like to paint really fine lines and stuff.
Uh-huh.
With watercolor too, I'm very precise. And with acrylic, it's kind of the opposite for me. I like being really messy, and I like the jagged brush strokes, and I feel like it gives it a different kind of feel, and I like that. It's
Sure.
like more grit.
It's a really nice effect.
Thank you. This one's called Take a Walk. And this one is I don't remember. Was I mad at some? I don't remember. But it's basically like go take a walk in the forest and
Uh-huh.
like get lost.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, yeah, you were mad at somebody.
I must have been mad. This is quite moody. I must have been mad at someone. I don't remember who, but someone. Um, but I like this is painted in two layers, and the first layer is is kind of just brush strokes to create like I don't know, like more depth. So this one, it gets kind of lost in the photograph, but if you were to see it in real life, it has a lot of depth in it, and you kind of feel like if you look at it too long, like you kind of feel like you're there, like you're transported into the forest, you're lost there, which is a really cool effect. I don't know if I can get that effect again, but I like it. I like it for this piece.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at it, I was seeing it as being like like a fence, but also some kind of bars going across, and like there's like greenery sticking out. It has kind of a 3D effect to it.
Yeah, that's the layering of the paint. That is what allowed me to get this effect. It's like I don't know. I think it's like a forest at night for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, honestly, it could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
This one's called Traveler, and this one is kind of inspired uh, by my love for maps. I really like geography and maps, so I wanted it to look like a map, and I wanted it to be a journey. And um, the kind of like fire that's in there is like fueling the journey for me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm a traveler in this world. I'm always experiencing things. I'm always going places, and this was kind of like reminiscent of that. In the corner on the bottom, there's a silhouette,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I wanted to incorporate like this is a feeling that people have when they're even if you're walking down a street that you grew up on, sometimes you get a feeling that like you're like, oh wow, I'm here.
Mm.
And yeah, you're traveling. That's what you're doing. You're just you're just there on a street. But you might have like nostalgia factor, or you might like remember something, or you
Mm.
might just get a feeling like, oh, like I'm here now. Like not yesterday, not tomorrow, I'm here now.
Right.
And that's you on a journey. So that's really what I wanted to get out of this piece.
Nice.
This is a painting of a place. Um, that I went to once. It doesn't look like the place, but this is how it looks in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was in England, and uh, I was in England in the summer. They had great sunsets there, and I was seeing someone, and one of our pastimes was we used to just chase sunsets.
Mm.
And one time, like he came over to my dorm, and we were like, "Oh, what are we gonna do tonight? Let's go find like the tallest mountain and like chase the sunset. Like let's go see the sunset off like the tallest like peak that's around."
Mm-hmm.
So the peak, I was in Brighton, and the peak was called Ditchling Beacon.
Mm.
And we took some photographs there, and literally the sky looked like it was on fire.
Wow.
It was so nice. I was like, wow, like this is a summer sunset. And even though like I feel like you can see a summer sunset over and over, and each time you see it, you're just like, wow. Even if you've seen it before, you're like, wow, how can this exist? How could it be so bright? How could it be so fiery, so beautiful? So I really wanted to capture that in a painting.
Very
This
nice.
is also one of my newest pieces. I just finished this a couple of weeks ago. This called Give Me Your Crazy. And this is a technique with acrylic pouring.
Mm.
Um, for this piece, I really wanted it to look um, like really complicated because um, in your mind, in your brain, there's all these synapses, and they communicate with each other. They go off at like different times, and to me, this is what that looks like. It's like a web of connections, but it's all tangled.
Uh-huh.
For me, in my mind, half the time I don't know what I'm thinking. Like I have to paint to figure it out. So I painted this as kind of a representation of that. It's like the complexities in people's minds.
Mm.
And it was a really nice process with the pouring the acrylics as opposed to painting with a paintbrush.
And
So
when you say you're pouring them, what are you using to pour? I mean,
so like I will mix the colors in like little cups,
uh-huh.
and then I'll pour them onto the canvas.
Ah, okay.
And then I will rotate the canvas based on where I want the paints to go, where I want it to flow.
Mm.
That's a new technique I'm experimenting with, but I
Yeah.
like how this came out. So this is my studio in Woodhaven.
Mhm.
This is just one wall that I have.
Uh-huh.
There are four more, and there's lots of paintings that are not on the wall because I ran out of wall.
Yeah, I see a few. We've seen a bunch of these tonight.
Yeah. So yeah, like some of my paintings are quite small, and some of them are really big. And I don't know how I determine which ones I want to do smaller and which ones I want to do bigger. I kind of just paint on whatever's around, which is so weird. Maybe I should have more of a system. I don't know.
Now, what's easier to hang, the wood or the canvas? I imagine the wood could be difficult sometimes if
Yeah, actually,
it's
it's really
curved.
easy to hang canvas. It's harder to mount wood. And I have to put something on the back of the wood to mount
Hmm.
it. I think going forward, what would be best for wood is if I framed it
Mm. Okay, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
that it would just be easier to mount. But like the piece that's here in the center on the bottom, that's on wood, and that's a little bit warped already,
Yeah,
which
yeah, you too, yeah.
which I actually love. I think it gives it more
Yeah,
character.
agreed.
But that one is hard to put up. And this is my website. You can find all of my work there. I update it quite regularly. Or if you're in Woodhaven, you can just send me an email and set up a time to come by, and I can show you around.
Oh, that's
So I think that's the end of my
all
presentation. I
right.
would love to take some questions.
All right, we're gonna do that in a
Let
second
me
here.
turn my video on. Okay,
Thank you.
here we
Before we bring
go.
everybody on, I wanted to wanted to bring this up
Oh,
here to see as beautiful. If you're in Woodhaven, if you saw this, Leader Observer, MSR was on the cover there with Milo. That's great. Great to see that. Great to see our artists getting such wonderful coverage. So congratulations and thank you for that presentation. Let's bring everybody on here now. I'm gonna remove the spotlight. How do I remove the spotlight from me? Well, I didn't want to do that. Hold on a second. I wanted to remove the spotlight from me. There we go. And now move spotlight. There we go. And now I can get everybody to hold on. Allow everyone to unmute themselves and ask all to unmute. All right, there we go. I think we got it now. There we go, everybody. Can we hear you? Can we hear you?
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
Hi.
Well, everyone, thank you, and a nice round for MSR. Thank you, MSR. That was thanks for walking us through that. And now we open the floor. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Hi.
Hi, MSR. I'm Deborah, and I really.
Oh, hi, Deborah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good.
You should be very proud of what you just did. That was awesome. I love all the colors. I love all the stories. That's my favorite part, to hear the stories behind the art. And my favorite one was actually the first one you showed with the Taurus sign and the silhouette. You know, I love the colors and the shapes and forms, and it was really deep. And to me, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a record cover right out of 1969. Like, it really looked very psychedelic. I love it. It's amazing. Like, I feel like any musician would be very proud to have work like that on their work. So.
Should I go record an album? Is that what you're telling me to do, Deborah?
The artwork out there together with it. So I just thought it was really awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. I loved all the variety and everything. It was just a lot of very interesting work. Did anyone out there have any favorites?
Yes, Ed. MSR, I loved Flutterbug, and the part that you were talking about with all the molding reminded me of an oil slick on water. Beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous. One little observation on Ladybird in the bottom corner. I saw it as a torch from the Statue of Liberty and the name Ladybird, and it connected with me. So I love your stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I particularly liked, Versha and I particularly liked Love Song, and also the last one, which is the one where he describes synapses of the nervous system. That was very good. I did have a question.
I like that. You're a scientist.
Yeah, well, of course. But I think I had a question about, something that I thought was very interesting. Could you sort of describe to us, sort of the transit that you go through between like very happy and very sad? Because I particularly like Love Song because I know you, and I know that, like, when I see you as a happy person, that painting is a very good summarization of who you are, right? But like, how do you, what's your process from going from happy to sad? And have you thought of paintings where you're in between and like that melancholy? Like, have you thought of like art in that gray zone?
I just paint like things that I feel, because I'm a very emotional person, and if I'm not painting, then I'm feeling it. And sometimes when I'm feeling really dark things, I paint more just to get it out of my system. Like, and once it's like on canvas, I'm like, oh, okay, that burden is off of me. So I think as a painter, you'll see a lot more like darkness that comes out of me. And as a person, because you know me, you'll see I'm actually pretty happy because I'm doing all this painting.
Does that mean that you're happy out of your system too?
You know, actually that was after the relationship had ended, so maybe. That's, you know, I didn't realize that until just now. That's very interesting for me to know about myself.
Luckily, I found footwear that gives me the support I need. TriStaff is Archfit footwear with podiatrist certified architect.
All right.
I'm sorry, did somebody say I can't hear?
I'm fine with Chris Benji's unconventionally baked bread. Go left.
I think it was just some background TV there. So anyway, listen, I want to put it out there. If anyone else had any other comments or questions before we go?
Oh, just a quick comment I wanted to make. I loved the way that MSR, you put the mixed media with the roses in the painting. Were you thinking of doing any other types of paintings, putting in other materials? Because roses also have a sense of smell that, you know, you could smell the painting. So I'm wondering if you could maybe incorporate more things like that, you know, for a subject matter, perhaps.
That's actually really interesting because my sister, for I think it was for Christmas, she gifted me like a candle making set, and she had this idea that I should make a scent that goes along with one of the like the vibes or the energy that I want to get out of a painting and sell them as a set. And I'm working on that. Yeah. But thank you. Yeah, roses do have a smell, but I feel like if I were to like, because that's an oil painting, and oil paint has fumes, so you probably wouldn't want to smell it. But
Yeah,
maybe for acrylics.
They do have a smell, very strong, I remember.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, want to thank everyone for coming out, and MSR.
Hey, Dad, can I ask a quick question?
Certainly. Carmela, go ahead.
How long does it take you to do a painting?
It really depends on the painting. I've spent months on paintings, and then I've spent like one day on paintings that are equally intricate. And it really, I don't know, it depends on what kind of trance I'm in. Like, to be honest, yeah. Because like Weightless Buoyancy took me one day. But some of the other paintings, they just took me months. Lady Bird took me several months. It was just there, and I kept looking at it, and it wasn't ever finished. Like, there was no like white space on the canvas, but it wasn't finished for a really long time. The painting that I have called Grief, like it was painted and it was on the wood, but it didn't feel finished to me until I had that title. So like I painted that in a couple of days, but it wasn't finished until months later when I thought of like what it really meant and named it, if that makes any sense.
All right. Well, listen, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, we got another question here.
Hey, I have a question. I don't know who's up. That's Trisha. Can you hear me?
Oh, Trisha.
Oh,
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, hello. I'd like to say something to her, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Please, let me just explain so everyone we know. So when I spoke to MSR, you know, she had talked about one of her favorite places in Woodhaven, and that being Jordy's Joint on 80th Street and Jamaica Avenue. And she asked me, she said, "Oh, could you reach out and sure if we reach out and Trish is here. So Trish, the floor is yours. How are you?"
Okay. All right, Ed, I can go.
Yep, you go ahead.
Okay. So we did read your article, and Ed told us everything that you said, and we were just delighted. So anytime you want to have your showing or make some arrangements with us, we'd love it. just walk up to the bar. If we're not there, tell Brian to find us and we'll come speak with you. We would
I
just
love
love it.
Brian. Oh, this is amazing. Thank you so much, Trish.
We love it. Thank you. Things like that are great. We enjoy things like this. And thank you so much for thinking of us.
Of course, I love your place. I go there with my friend Sean and we like take over the jukebox and just like, it's karaoke night whenever we're there. Brian probably knows. Brian knows when we're putting on a song. He's like, oh, that was you guys. I'm like, yeah, it was us.
It'd be nice for you to walk in and see your paintings around, won't it? So you come up and you arrange that with us and we'll gladly do a showing for you.
Oh, thank you so much, Trish. Thank you.
Very nice, and your work is lovely and you presented yourself so well. It was quite enjoyable. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you and meeting you in person.
I look forward to that too.
Hey, I had a question. Hey, it's Monisha. I'm MSR's sister. I just want to say, Shammy, thank you so much for putting up those super embarrassing photos of me. I love it.
You're welcome. I had to put you on spot.
I totally get it. Also, I wanted to ask you, like, you know, your art inspires me and it inspires everybody around you. I love looking at your art. I love coming to the studio and seeing all the new paintings you've made and where they derive from. I guess I just really want to know, like, where do you pull from your inspiration and how are you able to really put that, you know, on material, whether it be wood or canvas?
I think most of my inspiration comes from past trauma, but there's also a lot of inspiration that comes from the dreams that I have. I have the craziest dreams, and you know, I'm pretty grateful.
Really do.
I'm just like, what is going on in my mind? That this is a dream that I have. Like, this is like, it's so cool because, you know, it's not like a story with a beginning, a middle, and end. It's just like craziness in my head. So when the craziness comes out on the canvas, it's like, oh, nobody could have thought of that because it's insane. And I'm like, it is. So I'm quite lucky.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy for everybody to see your amazing art. I love you so much.
Oh. I love you.
That's so nice.
I think I got something in my eye. All right, well, look, everybody, thank you so much. And MSR, thank you. Everybody who's out there, listen, be well, be safe, and we'll see you soon. MSR, thanks again. And
yeah, it was nice. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, everybody. Great job.
Thank you.
Yay. Woohoo. Truly inspiring.